Let's talk about start schema and extended start schema. Start schema, as we discussed, a fact table in center surrounded by the dimension table. We have here customer dimension, material dimension and a time dimension table. So customer, I have a customer ID which is a primary key here. The fact table, it's connecting with the customer ID. Material ID is a primary key here, it is connecting with the material ID. Under time dimension I have a day ID, it is connecting with the day ID. After this combination of dimension keys, then only your transaction data will store. That is called fact table. This is called start schema. This is how the start schema will be created in the info queue. Limitation analysis due to 16 characteristics. What is the problem with the start schema? We can do only analysis on the 16 characters because 16 dimensions. No reuse of master data. Alphanumeric values are stored as alphanumeric values itself in the fact table. So it degrades the performance. Then what is the solution for this? Extended start schema. What is extended start schema? It is very simple. I have a fact table. This is my fact table. Inside my info cube, it is connected with the dimension 1 and dimension 2 tables. I have a 2-dimension table. So I have a dimension ID 1 here, dimension ID 2 here. If you have any dimensions 3, you can connect to 3. Then I have a transaction data. So this dimension tables contains SID table. SID table for material, SID table for vendor. Can you see here? SID table for material, I have a 2 data here, material data and vendor data. So I have a 2 IDs as created. So now what happens is, through the SID table vendor, it is connected to a vendor SID table. The text data will be loaded out of your info cube in a SID table. Because of this ID, these 2 tables are connected. Here I have a custom a vendor master ID. Here I have ID. So again the data has been separated from this SID table as attributes, vendor master data. How it is 2 tables connecting? Again vendor ID. See, this is because of vendor ID disconnected. 12, 22, 12, 22. From here it is connected to this. From here it is connected to this. From here it is connected to this. This is called extended start schema. What happening? The master data is loading out of your info cube, not inside your info cube, based on your dimension ID. That is called your SID value, SID table. What is the use of this? If I keep my master data out of my info cube, what is the use of this? Use of this is always a reusable of master data. Okay. So what is the advantage of this? 255 columns possible for every SAP table. 6 columns reserved for SAP. 249 columns are remaining. 1 column for dimension ID. Remaining is for 248 columns. So the maximum 13 dimensions I can create. Per each dimension I can add up to 248 info objects. This is the advantage of extended start schema. Key figures. As you know that 255 columns possible for every SAP table, irrespective of master data or transaction data. And here transaction data, same number of columns. 6 columns reserved for SAP, remaining 249. Then in a fact table I need to create a dimension ID for all the 16 dimensions. Then 16 columns go for dimension IDs. Remaining is 233. So maximum how many key figures I can add into a fact table? 233 key figures can be added. It's a huge data. Huge, believe me, 233 key figures is a huge transaction data. Please observe here, 248 columns for dimension. Then maximum 13 dimensions I can create. Just imagine how much data I can store into info cube. It's a huge data I can store. They're going to ask in interview how many maximum number of characteristics I can add, how many maximum number of key figures I can add into info cube. This is the answer. So extended start schema, if you want to give in a more details, I have an info cube. This info cube contains a dimension table connected to fact table. Dimension table connect to SID table. SID table connects to master data attributes, master data text, master data hierarchy. Since it is storing outside, I can connect to any other info cube, this master data. That is called reusability of master data. That is the advantage of extended start schema. Fine. See, it's very simple again. It's more detailed about your extended start schema. I have here, for example, I have a customer dimensions I have created. Under this I have attribute table. This attribute table I have a customer ID, city, region. This attribute table automatically creates SID table. SID table creates SID customer field. Then it is connected to the dim ID table. Dim ID table creates dim ID customer, which contains SID customer. Then it connects to your info queue. That is called your fact table. This is how your master data will be divided into the pods. It's divided into the 4 pods. One is attribute table, one is a text table. I have 2 types of text tables here. In between I have a SID table connected to the dim ID table. Dim ID table connected to your fact ID table. That's called your fact table. This is how the data will be connected from dimension table to fact table. Here also same thing, material dimension. I have attribute table, text table. Then how it is connected? Through the SID table. Then of course if you have a hierarchy table also, hierarchy table also can be connected to your SID table through the SID table only. This is how the tables will be connected to each other. Please observe that every table has an ID. The connectivity depends on based on these IDs only. Fine guys, this is called extended start schema. Then using of master data independently of info cube. I clearly told you that in extended start schema master data can be reusable. I have info cube 1 here, info cube 2 here. How these 2 info cubes are sharing the master data? Please observe here. This is a master data. This is a master data. 2 info cubes are connected because the master data is located out of your info cube, not inside. That is the reason why I am able to connect. If it is inside, then I need to go inside and connect. That will be very difficult. It is not possible. If it is outside, any info cube can connect. That is the advantage of extended start schema. I can say reusability of master data. This is same again, one more scenario here. How it is connected? Let's take, I have a fact table. Fact table contains a dimension ID. It connect to a dimension table. Under dimension table again I have a dim ID. Dim ID will connect to another SID table. SID table I have a SID number. Based on this SID number, it is going to connect to a text table and master data attributes table. This is how it will connect. This is the inside of your info cube. These parts are outside of your info cube. This is the outside of your info cube. Clear guys? This is more than enough for your start schema, extended start schema. Any questions you have? Tomorrow we're going to start how to load transaction data into standard info cube with the fixed units and fixed currencies. I'm going to explain what is a fixed units and fixed currencies. So any questions today?
Pretty much clear.
Great. Yes, Sureka, Sai, Raj.
Okay.
It's clear for everyone. Let me show you how this SID table will be created whenever you load the master data. Then you will get some more clarity on this. Because a lot of people have a question how SID tables is connected or how the SID table is created. Very simple. Go to your info object, expand your master data. I have a SMID. It is my primary object. Please observe, it's created SID table here. This is your SID table. Open this SID table. Then you can see it has a technical information. Go inside. Can you see all? It contains a primary key. Based on this only your SID table will be connected to your master data attributes. Okay. So it contains all the number of columns, how many columns we have, how many number of rows, how many rows we have created. This is a use of SID table in your info cube, especially for extended start schema. Okay. This is how the data will be connected to from dimension table to master data table. It's very simple. Whenever you load attributes data, it will create attribute table. Whenever you load text table. Whenever you load hierarchy table. These three tables will be connected based on SMID to the dimension table. Dimension table will be connected to the fact table based on the dimension ID. That's very simple, right? So if you go back here, see here, I have a text table connecting based on my SID. SID table is connected to my text table, my master data table. Then under SID table, it's connecting based on the dimension ID table to a dimension table. Dimension table is connecting to the fact table based on the dim ID. So it's all interconnection with the different tables. You need to understand only the difference in between start schema and extended start schema. Start schema, everything will be inside the info queue. Extended start schema, the master data will be located out of your info queue because of master data reusability. That's a major difference.